Okay, I think let's just start. I'm trying to wait, but seems that there's delay. So if you actually watch yesterday video, you see that we actually did something like this yesterday. And then we have learned how we can actually offset these plots according to the size of the plot. For example, this is 30 by 15, that is 100 by 50 size, okay, 160 feet, okay. So that is the approach we offset, and then we trim to make sure that we actually, get all the shapes that we have here, okay. And then the next thing is that now, if you agree with me, we have truncation here, which I've already added. Okay, but in yesterday video, we actually did not show you how you can do truncations, but we actually see we have done a lot of things that have to do with exporting and trimming. Okay, so we are going to repeat some aspect of it. So like here now, I'll start edit on this line, okay? And then this particular truncation, I want to repeat it again. So I will delete this one, okay? And then we'll take it to the normal way that it's supposed to be. Okay, sorry. All right, so what I'll do is that I'll select this line here, okay? Then I'll go to extend. Okay, and then I'll select this. Okay, so you see that it has extended to this. All right, then I want to get this line also to touch here, right? Because I want to take it back to the normal way it is before we do the truncation. Okay, these are ways that you can make your adjustment, you can make your editing to any plot or any layer that you are working on, so that it will suit to your own design. So now I will click on this particular line, okay? And then I'll go to extend again, and then I'll click on this line to extend it, okay? Now, I want to trim this line because, this is a road, right? So I'll select this line now, this time around, okay? And then at the same time, I'll also select this line, okay? So I'll go to trim, and then I'll remove this line, okay? So I right click and then I press enter. So I have my line without truncations. Now, the simple way of doing your truncation here is, for example, if it is AutoCAD, you can use maybe chamfer or any other method that you use. But for this, you can just based on, this is actually a simple layout designs or a kind of subdivision that you do. Now, what I normally do is to actually, you can do an offset to have a standard measurement. Okay, you can do an offset to have a standard measurement, but um uh, but for this particular one, I can just do a reasonable assumption. So I'll just click this, and then I'll click on line just for me to draw line. So what I'll do is that I'll draw a line from here to here, and then I'll right click, and then I click OK. Okay, so now I have my line already there. Okay, now if I have this line, now what I'll do is that I'll go to selection, and then I'll select this line. Okay, if you remember the principle that we used to do our trimming yesterday, so I'll go to trim, and then I will now remove this line. I'll remove this line. I'll remove this one, and then I remove this. Okay, so I'll right click, and then I click enter. So you see it. So this is how you create your truncation. So when you have when you have your corner plot, and then you want to create the truncation to it, this is the approach that you follow to polygonize this. Okay, all right. So now I'll go back again, and then I'll create a layer. new shapefile. I'll browse to the location I want it to be. And then I call it plot 2. So I can differentiate from the other plot. Okay, and we want it as polygon. And the coordinate reference system is there. And then I want the field, which what we want to input is actually the plot number. Okay, and it should be on whole number. And the length is okay for the 10. And then I click add to field lists. Okay, and then I click OK. All right, then I click this plot 2, and then I start editing. Okay, and then I add polygon. Okay, so I want to start from here. Definitely, we are not going to polygonize all the layout, but at least we just use maybe one block to actually show what we're supposed to show. So I'll follow it. As I said earlier, make sure that your toggle edit is on. Sorry, your snapping option is on so that you can actually digitize your polygon accurately. So I follow this and then I right click. So let's assume this is 1. Okay, plot number 1. Okay. Now, if this is 1, then here will be 2. Then here is 2. Then here will be 3. 3. Okay. Now, one thing again is that preferably you make sure that the particular field that you are trying to impute, you make sure that is labeled so that you'll be seeing it as you are going. Okay, so that, for example, when you have a very long a layout to be numbered, it is advisable that those numbers that you are inputting is showing so that you know where you stop. Okay, so that you not repeat. Let's assume as I input here 3, possibly if let's say I mistakenly add this place to be 3 again. You understand? So I'll double click here on the particular layer. Okay, then I'll label it. Okay, single label, and then I label it with plot number. Okay, and then I click OK. This is a normal QGIS knowledge. If you know how to use QGIS before, all these are not an issue. So I'll start from here again. Sorry. And then here will be 4. Okay. Right. And then here will be 5. Right. Here will be 6. Sorry for that. Let me redo this. Six. And make sure that you are following it clockwise direction. 7. 8. Okay, so as you can see, this is the same thing, like repeated tags. Then, okay, that is how you do it continuously. until you finish this whole road. Okay, this is road 1. Sorry, this is plot 1, road, let's say road A, plot 2, road A, plot 3, you understand, till you finish this particular road and then this particular block. Okay, that's how you do your polygonization and then plot numbering. So now the whole essence of this is to show you a simple ways on how you can actually do your subdivision or layout design in QGIS. So if you actually watch yesterday's video, you see how you can be able to do this exact layout that I've shown today. And then we'll now see how we have already done with polygonization of converting those lines to polygon. Okay, so from here you can be able to calculate the area of the land, okay, and many other informations that is necessary or that is needed to add to your informations. Okay, so I don't know if there's any question so far, because the next one is just for us to add it to the composer, which is as simple as what we have been doing before. So I don't know if there's any question so far. Is there any confusion, please, as to how to offset, or do you try offsetting and it's not working, or do you try trimming and it's not working? These are the things that I feel that you might encounter, but if you practice it, it will definitely work. The only thing, make sure that your coordinate reference system is in UTM Mina 32, and then make sure that you select the particular object that you want to trim or you want to extend, and then make sure that you are using line in offsetting, because you can't offset a polygon as far as this layout design is concerned. Okay, so please, is there anybody have question here? Any question, please? Okay, so if there's no question, then I will just go straight by adding it to Composer so that we can actually export our map. Okay, this is also for the sake of those that that not have good knowledge of QGIS. If not, if you have a good knowledge of QGIS, it's a normal thing that you can actually do for yourself or by yourself. All right, so I'll go to my Composer Manager or Layout Manager. Okay, and I'm creating empty layout. Okay, so here I'll click on create. The name of the map is called map 1, which is the first map that we're going to create, and then I click OK. All right, now if you look at this is the composer environment. So this is the composer page, and if you look at this page, this is actually landscape. And if you look at our layout, if you look at the orientation of that layout, it's better use a portrait. Okay, so what I'll do is that you right click. This is QGIS 3 points above. So as well as you're using 3 points above, you can right click on the empty page on the composer and then click on page property. Okay, you click on page property, and then here now we have the paper size. Let's say I want it to be in A3. Okay, and then the orientation, I want it to be portrait. All right, so these are the first settings that you're supposed to do, because based on the shape of your layout, okay, so that it will show well. All right, so the next thing is for me to add my map to my composer. All right, so I'll go to add new map to the layout. I'll click and then I add it by dragging it. Okay, all right, so you see I have my layout here, but it's as small because we have not actually zoom it to fit the page, right? So now how do we do that? Now here is adding in a new map layer. Now the first one here is move, select or move item. Okay, the second one here is move item content. All right, now if I use move item, that is to say I'm moving the whole map. Okay, I'm moving the whole map. All right, so you look at it. But if I use move item content, then I'm moving the content of the map inside. Okay, take note of that for those that actually do not have good knowledge of QGIS. So now I want to adjust the size of the map generally. So I have to click on select or move item. So I'll now adjust it to have a uniform boundary. Then I'll go back to my item content and then I centralize it. Then now for me to make it big so that it will show big in the page is for me to go to scale here. Now presently we are having scale of 5,273. Okay. So now let's say if I reduce this to 1,000. Okay. If I reduce it to 1,000, you see that it's actually big. I think that 1,000 is too much or is too small. So I have to increase the scale so that the map will reduce. All right. So I think this is 1.5. I'll go to item content and then I reduce it to position. Okay. Now, if you have this now, you have position. Let's assume this is how you want it to be. I'll click here and then you see your map. Okay. If you want it to be increased, you can possibly reduce it to maybe 1,200, depend on the standard of your scale ratio that you are using. Okay. So, but for now, we leave it at this 1.5. Okay, this is actually clear enough. All right, so now for you to show how clear it is, you can just click on this icon here, zoom to 100%, which is 1:1, 1:1. So I'll click on it so you see it. So it's clear. So even though you print it on paper now, on A3 paper, it will be clear. All right. This is how it will be when you print it on a paper, right? So after that, I will now go back and from here, okay, under the item property, you can scroll down to add frame to it so that we can add a boundary to it. Okay, look at what is the frame is all about. Add it. So now the next thing is to add your text, add your what they call it, your legends, your skills, and the rest of them. So now let's say I want to add text. Okay, you can see T here. This is the text. So this is where you write the information about the the layout. Let's say let me just write let's say subdivision plot belonging to Mr. Sunday. Okay, so now this is the information I want it to be at the top of this. All right, so you see that this is actually very small, right? So I need to increase it. So I'll go to, okay, I'll go to font and then possibly I increase it to something like 20. And then I click OK. I will increase this so that it will be big, all right? So let's say, now depending on the information you're adding, maybe subdivision a plot belonging to Mr. Sunday at so place. So all those information, you can just add them here, you see? You can add at, let's say at, let's say at one at Rimi. Okay, so every other information that is necessary can be added, and then at the same time you can center. Okay, you can see it, can center it, and if the size is not okay by you, you can increase the size, you can make it bold, you can change the font size, and many other things that you do to your layout. Okay, then the next one is our symbology, that is our layer, the legends. Okay, so I'll click on add new legend. So depending on the position I want to put my legend, so I'll click and then I drag. Okay, so I'll go to, okay, you click on this update, auto update, you check it, and then you come here. If you look at it, I'm going to show two legends here, okay, which is the boundary, the one showing the polygon, and then the line, right? So I'll just remove this other boundary based on the fact that we are not showing it on this particular plot. So I'll click on it, and then click on this minus here to remove it, okay? And under here, you can go to your okay, symbols, and then you increase it, okay? Can increase it so that it will not be small, right? Okay, and at the same time, I can change the text. Let's say this is I want to edit this. I'll click on this pencil sign, and then instead of writing plot, I will write let's say so let's possibly is still plot. Let's say plot boundary. Okay, you can see write plot boundary, and then here it can be road line or plot line. Okay, we use this one as plot line. So these are not, there's nothing like being a standard ways of writing it. No, I'm just trying to show you all the necessary tools that you need to actually do your work. All right. So let's assume this is the legend, and then I position it the way I want. And then let's say my scale, I'll go back to here. This is the scale. And then I put my scale. Let's say I can decide to put the scale up here. Now the scale is 1000. So I'll put numeric scale, which is 1:1000. Okay. All right. So I put it like this and possibly centralize it. Okay. And you can also write your scale. Okay. You can also write scale attached to it. So I'll write scale. Or even you can even write it normally without adding this. Instead of adding the two, you can just, based on the fact that you know that your scale is 1:5, you can just write 1:1500, so that everything will just be 1, okay, like this. Okay, so all this is based on your standard of how you produce your map in your own site, okay, or based on the standard of your own organization, or based on your own standard. All right, so these are the information. If you want to add north arrow, we have your north arrow here. Okay, you can click and drag, depend on the position you want to put your north arrow. Okay. We'll do it again. Make sure that it's straight. And then, okay. So this is your north arrow. So depend on the position you are putting your north arrows. So basically, this is a simple way at which you can actually arrange your map in your composer. If you actually, there are more other details, training or tutorials on Composer. You can actually check our YouTube page actually to get more details. But this is just for me to show you how you can actually do a simple composers, okay, after doing your layout, all right? So every other information that is needed, you can just add them to your map. And then if you want to export it, depending on where you're exporting it to, you can decide to export it to as an image, or you can export it as PDF, okay? So let's say I want to export it as PDF. I'll click on PDF, and then I type the name. I'm putting it under this particular folder for training. And then the name of the map is map 1, and then I click save. Okay, and then I save. All right. So I have successfully exported my map. So you can send it for printing, or you can, if you have your printer straight, you can print it, or you can send it to anybody that requires the information. All right. So I think this explains how you can actually do your simple composer. So do you have any question as regard to what we are doing? Do you have any question, please?